Hello, everybody. It's my privilege to introduce to you, all the way from the south side of Chicago, the man, the myth, the legend, my Theo, your brother, the South Side Unicorn.
And what they're proposing, Romney wants to he said in the first 100 days, he's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
Hey, it's your boy Ken White, host of the Southside Unicorn Show. And as you know, we love to bring you interesting guests, people that are making a difference in the nation, in the world, in your community. Today, I am absolutely proud to introduce to you Sheriff Chad BIANCO of Riverside County Sheriff's Department. As some of you may know, he has thrown his hat into the ring for the gubernatorial race to be the governor of the state of California. Now, being fair and balanced, I'm not going to tell you where I'm going to vote just yet. I'm going into the ballot box and do my thing on my own time. But for today, we have him, and we're going to ask him some questions. Questions I believe you yourself might want to ask him. So before we get started, I want to do the boilerplate. I call it the boilerplate, which is his standard letter that will give you an introductory idea to who Sheriff Chad BIANCO is. This is paid for by the BIANCO for Governor 2026 campaign, but I'll read it as follows. Chad BIANCO was born in 1967 at Hill Air Force Base in Ogden, Utah, and grew up in a small mining town as the eldest of three boys. Raised by hardworking parents, he was instilled in him the values of integrity, perseverance, and personal responsibility. These principles shaped his beliefs that respect is earned through actions, character, and commitment to service. In 1989, BIANCO moved to California in pursuit of new opportunities and a better place to call home and start a family. In 1993, he attended the San Bernardino Sheriff's Academy, graduating at the top of his class. Shortly thereafter, he was hired by the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, where he has dedicated over 31 years to protecting the community and ensuring the safety of all its residents. In 2018, Riverside County residents elected BIANCO as sheriff to address long-standing issues within the Sheriff's Department. At the time, the department was struggling with budget challenges, deputies were leaving due to lack of support, and relationship with the municipal law enforcement agencies were deteriorating. Upon taking office, BIANCO worked to stabilize the department's finances, increase staffing, and build partnerships with other law enforcement agencies. Despite unprecedented challenges, including civil unrest and a global pandemic, BIANCO, please forgive me for that because your name is close to a leather gear for law enforcement officers. I'm
Yes,
sure
it
that's
is.
happened before, right? BIANCO led the department decisively and was re-elected in 2022. Sheriff BIANCO faces the reality of California's failed policies on a daily basis. He has been a strong voice for reforming state law to once again ensure public safety across California. Most recently, he was a leader and vocal advocate for Proposition 36, which overwhelmingly passed in November of 2024, and he has started to return common sense to California criminal sentencing laws. Beyond his role as sheriff, BIANCO is a devoted husband, father, and grandfather. He and his wife, Denise, live in the Woodcrest area of Riverside, where they are active members of the Sandals Church. He believes in faith, family, and service above self. Okay, there it is. So now that we got the boilerplate out the way, let's get down to the nit-tay, grit-tay, shall we? Let me start getting down into my questions because I know your time
Very
is
good.
precious, and I'm glad you lent your time to us. Pardon me. What made you decide to run for governor, and what do you think you can accomplish in that position?
Yeah. So there's so many things that led me to do it, but basically, seeing, especially public safety, that the government is working against us in California, particularly against law enforcement, against victims, against residents, as it pertains to public safety. Everything that they are doing there is making it nearly impossible for law enforcement to protect us. And that's the number one role of government, is the protection of its residents. And so on top of that, I'm witnessing my friends leave this state, their children leave this state, close businesses and move businesses to other states because of the overregulation, the overtaxation that's going on in California. And as I'm looking at the new people that are lining up to take the place of Governor Newsom when he leaves, it's the same names and the same faces of the people that have put us in this position in the first place. And I feel like, especially in the area of public safety, that is my wheelhouse. That there's no studying I have to do on that. I've been doing this for 32 years now, of everything that I can to keep people safe despite what government is doing to us. And so the other issues on top of that, I truly am taking a problem-solving attitude, 32 years of a problem-solving attitude, the ability to problem solve, the ability to crisis solve, and interject common sense and reason back into government. And I can't, looking at the people coming in, it's either going to be the same or worse than what we have with this current administration. And seriously, I just can't allow that. I'm going to take what I've done for the residents of Riverside County, take it to a bigger stage, and we're going to make sure that California starts working for all of Californians rather than special interests.
I like that, and I like the way you say all, because there are some people, I call them Puritans, and they're Puritans on either side of the left wing or the right wing. These Puritans who will just stand on one thing, I don't believe that's going to be any good for the state of California, because we are the Golden State and people come here to pursue their dreams. And that means everybody. My next question, Sheriff, is being twice elected to the office of sheriff, you're no stranger to the rigors and requirements of campaigning. Is running for governor different? And if so, in what ways?
It's definitely going to be different because it's much bigger. So in my scale, I mean, I have a large county, but there's 2.5 million people. And so we're almost, 18, 20 times larger. The entire state, it's huge. There's 40 million people in this state that we have to reach, roughly 23, 24 million registered voters. So it is a huge undertaking to run something that large. Yes, I've done it twice. I've done it, successfully twice. And so I know what it takes to win. I know how to operate a campaign, how to manage a campaign. And so it's just a bigger scale. We're going to take a lot of work.
Same techniques.
Yes, same techniques. Basically, it's no different than my prior campaigns. My campaign will be about integrity. It will be about honesty. It will be about character and what we can do together to make California better. It's not going to be, I won't change who I am for a different voter. I'll be the same for a Republican crowd as I will a Democrat crowd. I'm not running this campaign for Democrats or Republicans or independents. This is for California. This is for our residents here, Californians in this beautiful state. That's who I'm doing this for. And it's going to be a big, possibly something that's never been done in a particular election, is every single campaign is a partisan campaign. I mean, the Democrats run for all the Democrats, the Republicans run for all the Republicans. And you kind of mentioned it with your analogy of the Puritan example. I'm running for all of those people, the 80% of the people in the middle. This isn't for Democrats and Republicans. This is for Californians. And I think the majority of us all think relatively close to the same. And those fringe topics aren't what is destroying this state. Those fringe topics are what we're allowing people to destroy our relationships, when really we believe 80, 90% of the same thing anyway. We shouldn't allow 10% of what we think or what we believe to define us, especially divide us.
And that is the kind of leader I believe the state of California absolutely needs. My next question, as I want to move along, because again, I know your time is precious. I first had the honor of meeting you at an Opal Singleton event and her outstanding organization, Million Kids. It appears under your leadership, the Sheriff's Department is involved in her program. Can you explain what that is and how the Sheriff's Department helps the program? And will you, as governor, increase the support for organizations like this and fathercon.org?
Absolutely. So here's the whole thing about me. Yes, I'm the sheriff. Yes, I'm a law enforcement officer, but that's my job. That is not my identity. I am a husband and I am a dad. And when you throw all of that together, I will protect my wife till the end of the earth. I will protect my children till the end of the earth. And then I expand that by being a law enforcement officer. And that is my duty for my residents. I am a protector. And I have a firm belief in children should be protected at all costs by adults. And for the most part, children they can't protect themselves. They don't have the ability, whether it's size or intellectual or emotional or anything like that. We are supposed to nurture our kids until adulthood, not victimize them. So I will always do everything I can to protect our kids, to protect our children. And Opal's organization is just a fantastic resource for us, as we have a very, very, very robust child protection unit where our human trafficking task force and the efforts that we put in rescuing these kids from abusive situations, whether it be from a family or a friend or whether they're being sold into sex slavery or anything like that. And Opal, I wish there were a million other people like Opal for her Million Kids, because we need so many more of those organizations with the dedication and the drive and the passion to make a difference.
Of an Opal Singleton, yeah. And
Opal.
when you consider that California ranks eighth in place for child sex trafficking, I find it embarrassing. I find it frustrating that the Democrats up in Sacramento are trying to stop a bill that is known as AB 379. Are you familiar with that, sir?
I am, and that's a long-standing bill and an effort from us to reverse something that's just horribly wrong in Sacramento that they changed a long time ago with prostitution and pandering, and then the ability for people to traffic our children, 16 and 17-year-olds. These Democrats think that should be okay, and there is something absolutely wrong with you if you think that's okay. There you have far bigger problems than we can actually see if you think that's okay.
Exactly. You know, I heard an old saying when I was a child, and that old saying was, "No man stands so tall as when he stoops to help a child." It's always stayed with me. And on the end of that question, no man should have a family that he's not willing to protect. I find that an anathema. How can you have a beautiful wife, children, and you're not willing to defend them? And as a man and as a leader, I mean, and gender does play a part in that because that's the role you identify with. Being a protector, that's in your DNA. You know,
Yeah.
so to think that the Democrats would be against AB 379, I'm not sure when you become governor if that bill will still be on the table, but are you prepared to resurrect it or do something similar to it?
We will absolutely make sure that passes, because what happened years ago, probably one of the worst representatives we have in state government, Scott Wiener, introduced a bill that got passed that made it legal for pandering. So basically what that did, it's not necessarily a legalization of prostitution, but it prevented law enforcement from contacting these girls who we know are being prostituted and being sex trafficked. And it makes it illegal for us to contact them. And so they did that several years ago. Now this one makes it not a crime. This bill is going away because we're trying to make it a felony to sex traffic minors. And the Democrats, they shot it down. They pulled it from committee today. And so it looks like this is going to be the second year in a row that this bill is taken, that it failed. We still have another chance in the fall to maybe resurrect it. We're going to try a public safety, an effort to get the word out to the public, to get the public to just stand up in an uproar over this and get a hold of their legislators and say, this is ridiculous. We want this bill passed, because we absolutely need to protect our kids. And to say that we're not going to make it a crime to traffic 16 and 17-year-olds is incredible. It's abhorrent.
Basically, that makes the Democrats a pimp's best friend. You know,
it completely is. And I hate saying this, and I'm not accusing them of anything, but what is it that you're doing? These same people are legalizing date rape drugs. They're making it okay to sex traffic our kids. You have to. I mean, I don't want to go out.
We got to make sure your eyes don't pop out your head on this, but I can feel your passion on it. It's incredible that an adult who has the power of legislation wouldn't do everything to protect children. It's absolutely crazy. Now, before we go into the break, I want to ask you a quick question, because we have to take a break. Got to get the money going.
Absolutely.
Today marks the 100th day of President Trump's administration as the 47th president of the United States. Based on what you've seen so far, using standard grading system, what grade would you give President Trump thus far? And if you were in the position, what would you do differently?
You know, I would say everything that he's doing is 100% pro-America. I don't know if you can. I certainly would give him an A, whether it's an A- or a solid A. I mean, who knows? Who cares? I think that everything he's doing is working. It's the negativity is just all about fear mongering. I think that he's doing everything he can to make sure that the world is safer and America is better off. And we can already see that we are. And so I think he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do and what we elected him to take care of. I can't wait until 2026, when I'm the governor of California, when I can actually work with the president instead of against the president to make California a better place.
It will be absolutely diametric. And on those words, we have to take a station break. I got you for the second half, right, Sheriff?
Absolutely.
Okay. Hey, we'll be right back after these messages. Go nowhere.
When I see a new broadcast from the Southside Unicorn, I can't wait to listen to it. You just never know what he's going to say.
Step 1, train the people only to consume. Step 2, infiltrate adults with the news. Step 3, indoctrinate the children through the schools and the music and the apps on the phones that they use. Step 4, separate the right from the left. Step 5, separate the white from the black. Step 6, separate the rich from the poor. Use religion and equality to separate them more. Step 7, fabricate a problem, made a lie. Step 8, put it on the news every night. Step 9, when people start to fight and divide, take control. This is called situational design.
Hey, my name is Toot Sweet, and I'm New York City's original artist, singing for the cause of freedom. I've spent the last 10 years of my life documenting history through my music. It's like a recipe that's blessing me, bringing out the best of me, aggressively testing me to create my own destiny and understanding, universally accepting adversity and learn more lessons in life than you're learning any. And when I'm in need of a dose of reality to escape the liberal land of make-believe, I tune in to the Southside Unicorn, where the truth is as solid as New York City concrete. My name is Toot Sweet, and you're listening to my friend Ken White on the Southside Unicorn, and this party's just getting started.
Hello, California. Riverside County Sheriff Chad BIANCO. Normally, I like going out for a drive, being alone with my thoughts, working on solving the world's problems, and today was really no different. And it is such a beautiful day in Southern California. I didn't want to be cooped up inside a vehicle, so I went on a different type of a drive and powered by a different type of horsepower. So today, Poncho and I decided to go out for a little trail ride and work on solving more of California's problems. Over the last year and a half or so, I've watched most of my friends sell their businesses, stop working altogether, retire early, move to other states. And it's always usually for the same reason. California is overtaxed, overregulated. And what a better way to bring all of my friends back, bring all of the businesses back that have left, to eliminate California income tax. Other states have done it. There's 9 states that don't have a state income tax. So why does the greatest state in the country have an income tax? I believe that our hard workers in California could spend their money far better than our current government. So as your governor, we will work immediately on eliminating California income tax for all of Californians. Stay tuned for more info.
You are listening to the Southside Unicorn Show, hosted by my friend, Ken White. He'll be back after these messages.
Hey, it's your boy Ken White, and we are back with Sheriff Chad BIANCO, a gubernatorial candidate for the Golden State of California. We've been asking him a few questions. I hope you've been paying attention because we're about to ask him just a few more. According to the IMF, recently released news, California has just surpassed Japan as the 4th largest economy in the world. That would sound like good news, but up against the backdrop of many businesses, good residents leaving California, and such noted Fortune 500 companies as QPix, ESPN, Realtor.com, X or Twitter, Chevron, Neutrogena, Lucas Oil Products, Charles Schwab, Oracle, Hewlett-Packard, Pabst Blue Ribbon Beer. The list goes on of companies leaving the Golden State. Then you add to that, California ranks first for homelessness, comprising over 24% of the nation's homeless population. When you see Governor Newsom strutting around boasting of being the 4th largest economy, but fails to speak on these factors that California is leading in, what comes to mind, Sheriff? And would you have a solution to what appears to be an unimaginable and unmanageable issue here in California?
Yeah, so it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that we have a governor that would pander and lie and truly try and fool us into believing something that just simply isn't true. We didn't do anything to make ourselves better to fall into the number 4 spot. Japan's economy is completely tanking. And so they basically put themselves into 5th instead of 4th. We have the highest, we have the absolute highest cost of living in the country. We pay the most taxes in the country. We have the highest number of unemployed in the entire country. It's an embarrassment what California does. We should be the number 2 economy. With me as the governor, I won't be happy with 5. I won't take Japan failing to get us to 4 as a win. I will do everything in our power to get us to number 2. We will do everything we can, and we can do it. We have the biggest workforce, but we punish them. We punish our businesses with regulations and taxes and all of those things that make California known all across the country as not friendly to business. We are not business friendly here in California. If we would entice businesses, all those businesses that you say left, we have to bring them back. We have to bring other new businesses into California, bring all of those jobs, stimulate the economy, raise that GDP, get everything going, fire up our economy. Allow our workers to make more of their money instead of taxing them more. When we take away all these regulations, it brings the cost of everything down, the cost of gas, the cost of food, all of those things that are regulated to increase their costs. Everything in California that is bad against us has been government imposed. And the solution I have is I'll be the person that finally removes those restrictions.
So in other words, you're going to take the handcuffs off of the California economy.
Absolutely. That's a great way to say it. I can always put handcuffs on, but there's got to be a time when you take them off. And this one, we're going to take them off, and we're going to let our economy flourish.
And let people cut loose. And it actually sounds like a beautiful dovetail to President Trump's attempts to do the tariff program, because if that does bring businesses back, what better state to do your business in than California? I mean, the weather, the people, you can go to the mountains and to the beach in one fell swoop. Now, but I don't think we touched hard enough on the homeless issue, because we got billions of dollars floating around somewhere. And I mean, in my short time as a peace officer, I think I hear embezzlement. I think I feel embezzlement going on. How do you have billions of dollars and people are still homeless? Do you want to touch on that subject for a
Yes.
little bit?
Absolutely. It is criminal, and we know it's criminal. And there's just no one looking into it because there's so many people involved. There's another bill right now. I can't remember the number, but it's a homeless bill. And the purpose of it is to make it illegal for law enforcement to contact anyone who's homeless. So it's basically they just don't want us talking to anyone anymore.
Wait, please forgive me. You're painting a picture for my audience and for myself that's looking pretty sketch, sir. I mean, these people they have a monopoly up in Sacramento. It's what 90% Democrat, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it's
So
extremely high.
all right, so with they basically can write whatever they want, and this is what I'm seeing. They don't want prostitution to be messed with. They don't want to protect the children. They don't give a damn about business. And now you're saying that they claim they're doing something about the homeless, but you can't look, you can't ask.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And this is how I'm going to emphasize it. There was probably 60 or 70 nonprofits that are for this bill. They want this bill to pass. The reason why they want this bill to pass is because they know that is going to make the homeless situation worse. And if we fix the homeless situation, all those 60 nonprofits and businesses that were on there, their money train
going to be
is
homeless.
gone. Their money, yes, their money train is gone. That money laundering and that embezzlement, that ability to take that taxpayer money is going to be gone. Let me put at it this way, because we can't fathom what $24 billion is. So I'm going to put it this way. If you have, I'll say it twice. If you have $100,000 that you make as your income for the year, and you're missing $24,000 of it, do you think you're going to know where that $24,000 went?
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I know where every dollar goes. So how can they say that $24 billion is missing, and that's a quarter of our budget, and they don't know where it is? It's horrible. If you have $100 in your pocket and you go into your pocket and you pull out your money and $24 of it's missing, it's like, hey, where did I spend that $24? And you're going to remember where that $24 went. But somehow we don't know where the $24 billion in homeless went.
That's absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely no sense.
Wow. Well, okay. I know we're running out of time. I see the timer just popped up, so I gotta respect that
Very
time.
good.
But here we go. On March 15th, 2020, we entertained our worst fears. A pandemic hit America that we thought was so deadly. President Trump, under advisement of Dr. Fauci, closed our nation. I have always said, don't judge a person by the good times. Look who they are during the worst of times. We had a stay-at-home order from Governor Newsom, and it was full force, even though he spent his time at the French Laundry. But you stood up for the people, and your stance over the span of time, you were proven to be right. And you were a breath of fresh air, no pun intended. It seems the community appreciated your leadership as well and rewarded you with a second term. As governor, if a similar issue arose, would you take the same position as governor, which the role is different than that of a law enforcement official?
Absolutely. And how I look at this is I'm an enforcer, and I'm a protector of your constitutional rights. Knowing that as a law enforcement officer, I have to protect your constitutional rights, I also completely know and understand that as a government official, I can't violate your constitutional rights. So as a governor, I would never make an order or a rule or allow a law to be passed, sign a bill into a law that is infringing on our constitutional rights. I am a complete firm believer in the founders of our country were far smarter than we were. And they made the building blocks of this country to ensure that this country stood the test of time. And now it appears that we have an agenda that is attacking those constitutional provisions that protect us and make us the greatest country in the world. And as the governor, absolutely not. The Constitution is completely off limits. We have a very plain and simple rule book to follow. And the rule book says you do not violate that document. And nothing from my office as governor would ever do that.
So it's safe to say you're a constitutionalist.
I am a firm believer in our Constitution, and I'm a firm believer in the plain language of the Constitution. I don't like how political agendas and politically motivated attorneys translate it into their own benefit. And
exactly.
we absolutely must maintain the foundation of this country that has made us so great. We've got to get a government back that's working for the people rather than the people working for a government, because that's no longer a free America.
Exactly. And if we do it the way the Democrats would have us do it, what in the world would we be passing on to our posterity? That's the question. But now I love Shakespeare. Considering April 23rd was Shakespeare's birthday, let me say that when trouble comes, it comes not as single spies, but in battalions. And what I'm speaking about is your time as sheriff in the year 2020. I mean, my goodness, Officer Chauvin in Minneapolis decided to treat the world to an ungodly sight. I will not try to relitigate that issue. I will simply say the optics of that event were shocking to the conscience of America. And there you are, as sheriff, you're dealing with the pandemic. And before you can even blink, now you're dealing with what could easily be Rodney King Part 2.
Oh, yeah.
And so
in some places it was. I mean, it seriously was. Los Angeles was burning. There were several cities that were on fire. Portland, back east, Chicago, New York, all of those cities were, police departments were being overrun and burned down, and police cars and businesses looted. It was a
pandemonium.
horrible time.
So let me get to my question with you, because I see that clock is just burning away on me. I wish I could flip it back around for some more minutes. On May 25th, 2020, an arrest was made by Minneapolis officer Derek Chauvin. If for no other reason than the optic of the arrest, it was shocking to the nation and spurred on a Rodney King level unrest. And out of that unrest sprang forth an organization known as Black Lives Matters. On or about June 1st, a meeting occurred on the streets of Riverside. Everyone seemed to be in an uproar about this, air quotes, taking a knee. As I read your bio earlier, you are a man of faith, a member of the Sandals Church. Given the previous devastation to communities when similar situations like George Floyd arose, the wake was carnage, death, destruction, divided communities. And before we go any further, I would like to applaud you as a man of God. You were humble and seeking a path of peace. The community is at risk when led by stiff-backed ideologues, and there is no road to peace. You were out front and willing to have dialogue. Now, everyone be mindful that at this time, at the onset of this tragic situation, and it would be years later before we would learn any more about this so-called BLM organization. When you first encountered them, none of us knew anything about them. And yet you had other esteemed organizations, counties, Fortune 500 companies. Everyone was lending their support to them out of good faith, simple good faith. We didn't know that much about them at the moment of this alleged kneeling situation. Can you explain why some seem to be in an uproar over this single moment when you record? Hold on, sorry, let me get this right because I want to get the question right. Uproar over this single moment when your record speaks of so much more. I wonder just how much loss, death, and destruction your brave decision to meet with BLM spared the communities. The people saw outreach and concern and a true leader that was aware of how the people see them, not only those that you like, but those who feel you may not like them. I think your efforts should be applauded on that day.
Well, thank you. That was certainly a trying time for us. And as you see from those videos, it was different than any other law enforcement agent across the country. I was between my deputies and the protesters. And and we let them know, those organizers of that event, especially particularly the three men that I dealt with in the couple of days leading up to it, and then right there at that time, we were working for a peaceful resolution. And even that night we were working for a peaceful resolution, but we were getting to the point where it was turning sour, and they were trying to tell us where the bad apples were, where the problems were going to come from, and how everything's were happening. And I was right there in between everything to make sure that they knew not only were we going to protect their right to protest, but we were not going to allow our city to burn down and for the rioters to take over and everything else. And at that particular time, you mentioned earlier, I certainly am a man of faith, and those men knew I was a man of faith. We had prayed on multiple times before that. And the main leader of that organization asked me if I would pray for a peaceful resolution, if we could get through this as peaceful as possible, no injuries, no violence, no corruption, any of that stuff. And we did it. And do I regret it? No. I mean, I would never regret praying for any type of peaceful resolution. And in the end, we did have a peaceful resolution. There were no damages to businesses.
That's what I wanted to ask you, sir.
Yeah, there were no injuries to any of the protesters, no injuries, just as importantly, to any of our deputies. And the protests never came back to Riverside County.
That, sir, I can intuit that because I'm a man of faith. I'm a man of the Lord, and I prayed before we had this interview. And I want to interject this into our interview. I heard a saying once: the enemy stood before men of God and they scoffed. But when the men of God kneeled before the battle, they trembled in fear. I believe that was the antidote of what you were doing. And the result is test proven. You didn't have the same blood, death, and carnage as other places had because you reached out to the community. As you said, you're a leader for all the people. And doing that, you have to balance yourself. So let me wrap up with my prefab questions. I wanted to get through them real quick. The left are masters of the soundbite and photo op. I feel you were set up, if anything at all. And it is just too bad some can't show their better Christian sides or good person sides and allow for errors as opposed to trying to castigate you over this one particular issue. I judge you on the end result. The end result is your city did not burn. That's almost like putting the ram's blood on the door. People get upset, and you as a leader, you didn't go stiff back. You didn't go, I'm not kneeling with BLM. Not to say that that's what you did. I'm sorry about that. We're almost out of time. I want to get this last few minutes in there despite the clock. But now, Sheriff Bianco, knowing what you know about BLM today and with the chance you will become governor, would you take the same approach with this organization going forward?
I will never say no to praying with anyone. So okay. The issue would be, almost like you let it out. There is always a difference of opinion, and I'm always open to anyone's difference of opinion. But we're going to do it peacefully. We're going to do it like gentlemen, if you will. I don't want to throw sex in there, but we will do it in a very professional manner. And I'm not a person that just because we disagree makes you wrong. We need to figure things out so we can all get along here, and we can all come across after we say our piece, after we whatever it is. I can't see anything in the future that would be anything similar to this. It's never happened in the past for anyone. I mean, that got thrust upon us, and the pandemic and the civil unrest it's like, good grief, what else are we doing?
I look at it was barely a 21-day break between one major incident and then you got another one. And I mean, how many people could deal with it the way you dealt with it? Your results speak volumes about your leadership. Now, I'm forced to go ahead and start going into the close of the show. So allow me to read these, and then I'll give you the last few minutes.
Yes, sir.
It has been about 20 years since California had a Republican governor. And after Arnold Schwarzenegger left us with the gift of the guerrilla primary, only the top two vote getters can move forward. We need to pick our candidate wisely, ensuring that they have appeal to not just the choir and pulpit of the Republican Party, or our candidate has to have the kind of qualities Sheriff Chad Bianco has exemplified throughout his career and in tough times that could have decided his career. Yet he chose to do what was in the best interest of the American peoples and our freedoms. Speaking of other candidates, on May 3rd, you can meet Sheriff Chad Bianco in person, along with other luminaries like Larry Elder and VIP guest speaker Riley Gaines, and even other gubernatorial candidates at the annual Unite IE Conservative Summit at the Doubletree Hotel in Ontario, California luncheon. The luncheon is at 11 a.m. The main event begins at 1 p.m. and runs to about 6:30 p.m. You better be there. So, having said that, is there any closing words you'd like to have, Sheriff?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on. It was great. I will say that as we progress within this election, especially on either side, I am the target of this election. I've been the target of the left, and I'm the target of the right. That's telling me that I'm going to be the choice for Californians. And exactly. And I just want everyone to know that I'm not, that is exactly who I'm doing it for. Not for Republicans, not for Democrats. It's for Californians. We have to get to a point, if we are going to fix our beautiful state, get to a place of peace and a place of posterity, is we have to get past the D and the R, and we have to start voting character. We have to start voting past. And I will be the only candidate in this election that has 32 years of proven public safety service for other people, not for myself, not for an agenda. And I will be the appeal of the majority of the voters in this state. And we're going to do this. We're going to make our state best. And I hope you're all on board with the right candidate to make sure this happens.
To me, you have all the goods, sir. I mean, a law enforcement agent of your experience and your political abilities, because you understand, you have your finger on the pulse of the people. If we increase your power, given that on top of everything else that's happening in America, 2026 is going to be a good year. I can't wait to see it. So again, I want to thank you for coming onto our humble show. And I can't, the words won't even describe it. So let me just go out with our signatures. Hey, listen to me. There's no place I'd rather be. There's nothing more I'd rather do than being right here doing this show for you. I'm Ken White, host of the Southside Unicorn Show with Sheriff Chad Bianco of Riverside County, and we are out.